welcome everybody to another one of our peak performance calls. We have today with us an absolute killer and also one of the chillest dudes I know, Kelly Vincent. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. So I'm super excited to talk to you for a couple of reasons. What are you at for the year? 200?
Holly has me right at 240.
240. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think when we add some stuff up, it'll end up being a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So you're well on pace for a Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And this is your first full year, right?
Yep, my first full year.
Yeah. So it takes a lot of people a few years to get to where you're at. So you're way ahead of the curve for where you're at. So there's a lot of things that I think a lot of people can learn from you, especially new agents. But, dude, the main thing is, we were talking earlier, bro. Tell everybody, because you book appointments primarily, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're booking appointments. So there's two ways we do things. You can book an appointment and sell them later, or obviously do the one-call close. But you're booking appointments. An average show ratio for appointments in the industry is probably like 40 to 50%. Kelly, what's yours?
65 to 70.
65 to 70.
And that's
He's
35
being modest.
appointments. That's 35 appointments typically on the books is where I'm going
Yeah.
for out of that ratio.
So
Yep.
he's being modest because earlier it was 70 plus. So
Yeah.
that's the number we're going with, 70 plus. But all right, so 35 appointments, and then how many are you sitting?
I'm sitting with about 25 to 28.
Which is huge. That's such a big deal because a lot of people, they book a lot of appointments, but nobody ever shows up. So like typical, if you book 35, most people are sitting with 15 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting 10 more presentations. What's your close ratio? Do you know?
Close ratio should be right at 35 to 40.
35 or 40.
Yeah.
So you're basically closing an extra 2 or 3 people a week just because your show ratio is better.
Yep, based off that. Yep.
Which is huge. And I mean, I'm really big on, like, of course, we all need to work harder,
Mm-hmm.
but can I do the same amount of work and get better results? And that's obviously what you're doing with your sit ratio. So I really want to hone in on that, what
Okay.
you're doing on the phones to just be elite, because that's one of the best numbers I've ever heard. So, Kelly, what kind of leads are you working right now?
Mail-in and aged.
Mail-in and age. And then are those call-in or, like, physical mailers?
I do physical mailers and call-in.
Okay, physical mailers and
both,
call-ins.
both.
And then what percent would you say are, like, fresh and what percent are aged?
I want to say fresh is probably 35%, and the rest would be the call-in and mailers.
Okay.
Or the call-in and, the mail-ins.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So your 35% is aged, and then the other is
35% would be the fresh, and then the rest would be the
aged.
aged.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So you're mainly working age leads. So let's talk about that because I think most of our agents probably will work that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's just kind of go through your phone script. If there's a couple mindset things that you like to talk about before, kind of talk about those, and then we'll go into your phone script. So how do you approach, like, dialing these leads?
So biggest thing for me and my people that I tell them is making sure that you gotta have some type of poise within your voice, or poise, or even your tone, kind of an authoritative tone. So like whenever I'm dialing, it's typically not my voice, kind of lower it, like, hello, Ryan. Kind of lower it where it's a little slower.
Yeah.
The reason for that, most especially working age leads, you're almost jogging their memory of them filling out the card or calling in on the number, right? So when I go through the script, it's really slow and controlled, making sure they understand exactly what I'm saying, jogging their memory, and then make sure I can get them on the books. The mentality kind of behind that is, of course, when you dial, I come from a background where I was setting appointments for solar, so that's kind of why dialing and setting appointments is kind of up my alley, because I've been doing that. I was in solar for about 2 years doing it. I would have 300 inbound calls of a bunch of FUs and all that good stuff, really mess up your mental. But my big thing is making sure you're controlled. You're controlling your voice. You have a nice, slow, kind of authoritative tone. Make sure you're jogging their memory. And if they have questions, address it, because you got to be on the same page with the client as well. And then tie downs, of course, are huge as well. I make sure, of course, give them a security code, make sure they have a pen and paper so they can write my name, time, and date. And then if I'm working with a spouse as well, if they have a spouse, I make sure at the end of the phone call, I kind of do something unique as well when I do set appointments, and this has worked out because I went from my show ratio used to be right at that, 40%.
Yeah.
And what really was kind of the learning curve was doing confirmation texts.
Yeah.
So I would send them at the end of the phone call before I timed down completely. I'd let them know, hey, Ryan, As soon as we hop off the phone here, I'm going to send you a confirmation text. If you just respond with that with the thumbs up or an okay, an automated appointment text, full name, license number, and that security code that's attached to your file so you know who's reaching out to you, not a third-party company, will be sent out to you so you have that. And also I add this as well if I am working with a spouse during the appointment that I'm trying to set, and if you can forward that to your spouse as well, make sure they have that time blocked off. I would greatly appreciate that. Can you do that for me, Brian? And I kind of go through that spill towards the end. And that was honestly kind of the key thing to really help my show ratio. But obviously the other stuff, just as important, but that's kind of like something unique that I kind of do that I picked up from other agents as well.
Let's talk about that. Let's go in depth on that, because there's a lot of stuff that you said, a lot of gold that I want to unpack. So I was taking some notes so we can talk about some of it. But all right, so the reminder texts.
Yep.
Let's talk about that mindset behind it, how you see it worked, have you tweaked it? Because like the way that I feel about that, and I mean, obviously different strokes for different folks, but like I came from doing in person, and like if somebody texted me or called me and said, hey, like don't come out or whatever, I would just show back up at their house and be like, oh, sorry, I didn't get the text or whatever. Like, you know, do you want me to take my shoes on or off and just go in anyway? So like I honestly, dude, I don't like, and my show ratio is not yours, so I should probably change, but I don't like sending those reminder texts because I feel like whenever I do, it gives them, like a lot of people will respond back and say, hey, you know, I don't want to meet, or can we cancel it, or whatever, you know, I talked to my wife, we don't need it. So how do you like, how are you either avoiding that in the first place, or how are you, because I'm sure some people do that with you, probably not as many as me, but how are you dealing with it when that happens?
Okay. So you're saying whenever I would send that confirmation text, like, hey, just spoke to the wife, we're not interested.
Right.
Kind of that.
Yeah, if they're like texting back,
Well, to me, of course, you're not on the phone with both of them. So whenever you do set an appointment, you are going to have a couple people like that. It's just a part of going through the appointment set. Typically, of course, I'll try to have the conversation like, hey, well, this is what the coverage does. If the need is there, my job is to make sure we fill that need. And it's kind of from that point up to them if they actually want to sit with me or not. Mm-hmm. But if that happens, I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I'm just going to book another one, right? So that kind of helps me, okay, well, at least they told me before I blocked off, you know, an hour's time in my schedule. So typically that happens. Doesn't really happen a lot necessarily, just to make sure, because when during the appointment set, I really slowed down to make sure if they do mention something like that, like me and the spouse, we did this before, you know, and then you kind of dissect what the issue is and what the need would be there from that point. But that hasn't really been kind of a major issue for that. Of anything, it's like, okay, great. You're not wasting my time then. Let's go ahead and take you off the books.
Okay. Yeah. Dude, that's super awesome, because like I always struggle with that, and there was a lot of people that always be like, oh, send a reminder text. I'm like, I don't like it because then people cancel. But I see, obviously, like you're viewing that as a positive thing, like, oh, that's good that I got them off my calendar, because now I actually have time to focus on a family that does want my help. Mm-hmm. Right? Exactly. So what do you attribute, like, because you're saying you don't get a lot of those texts, and me and whenever my agents, I have them do that, they get a lot of those texts. So we're obviously not doing some of the same things that you are doing, but what do you attribute you not getting a lot of those texts back, trying to cancel or whatever? Like, what do you attribute that to?
Well, during the appointment set, whenever I kind of, you know how you have that long pause where you kind of broke them down, what the coverage is, you filled out the card or you called in, and kind of there's like an awkward pause where they're like, okay, let's do it, or that's when the objections start coming. From that point, I really try to listen in on what the client is trying to tell me. So if they're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'll go through everything nice and slow. My big thing is if it's too good to be true, they're probably going to no-show you. If they're just saying yes and they're just kicked back like, yeah, 7 o'clock's okay. What I typically do, I'll give them a brief summary while I say, hey, let me take a look at my schedule real quick. And while I do that, I'll kind of tell them what's going to happen during the appointment, a brief summary of what the protection is as well. Yeah. So I'll be like, okay, let me check my schedule. Now, with the coverage, I'm not sure if we are familiar with it at all, but we would be going through a risk assessment, the reason why. Going through, of course, hold on, let me backtrack there. The reason why is because with the coverage being comprehensive, paying out to you in several ways that we discussed, you know, there is a risk assessment, so we'll go through a minute or two of medical health questions, make sure we put you in the right category for pricing and benefits as well. And then once I say from that point, they're like, oh, okay, okay. And then they're kind of on board and on the same page of what's going on in the appointment. Now, that's a blessing and a curse, because sometimes they're like, oh, yeah, I don't want to do that. How long is the phone call? 15, 20 minutes, right? And from there, it opens up kind of a conversation like, hey, are we serious about this or are we not? And that's typically my kind of icebreaker to see if it's really going to be a really good quality set.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that that's particularly what I would say every time, but I do kind of mention like, hey, we're going to go through a minute or two of medical health questions. And maybe if they mention it was pricing, you get to customize, you know what I mean? So there's different ways you can kind of go about it, but give them a brief 30-second summary of what's going on in the appointment while you're looking at your schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Okay. No, that's awesome. So kind of while you're looking at your schedule, you're sort of giving them a brief summary, and that kind of allows them that out, you know, where if they want to get out, they can.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly.
That's cool. And I mean, I do that in my sales process. I don't like in my phone script. I'm still very much like not trying to book everybody, but, you know, trying to book everybody that I can. But so that's really interesting that you're like giving them that out. And I've certainly switched to more of doing that, but that's really cool that you do that in that way. Yeah. And obviously a 70% show ratio is just nuts. Like that's almost unheard of, especially, you know, being over the phone. Mm-hmm. So you're doing some things right. Okay. So a couple things that I want to dive into, and I want to go over your script a little bit, but so the age leads that you work, how aged? Are we talking a month, 9 months, 2 years?
Month to 3 months.
Okay. So you're working 1 to 3 months, and out of the people you talk to, how many do you book? Like what's your booking ratio on those?
Okay. So right now, if I dial 10 straight leads, it can range from 1 to 4. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's really hard. Time of day, you never know. Like I can call 10, not get anybody. Typically, average every Monday is typically my dial days where I actually like get on the phones and dial out for the week. I'll go through about 30 to 40 calls. I'll book around 5 to 8 out of those 30.
Okay, so you're booking typically 5 to 8 out of 30 conversations.
Conversations, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, now, obviously, depending on if people are picking up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's typically, if I have a conversation with people, I'm typically booking them, or I'm giving them an out where I know they're not going to be serious, or they straight up tell me no.
Okay, so you're booking like maybe 1 out of every 4 to 6. Ish people that you talk to, which I think is a really important number to understand, because like you're getting more no's than you're getting yeses, and a lot of new agents will be very frustrated. Hey, I talked to 5 people in a row and they all told me no, whereas you're like, hey, I could talk to 10 in a row and they all tell me no. But like you understand, like you could also book the next 5 in a row, and
exactly
the numbers work out.
And what's huge is too, what I tell my people is, you know, a good quality appointment set. Now, it depends if they're working and if they're busy, but it should take at least 5 to maybe even 8 minutes long type of appointment set.
Nice.
Just to make sure it's quality. You're checking out all the boxes. You're slowing down on the tie downs, things like that too. I never rush the appointment set. And if I have to, I will tell them, okay, what time works best for you to me to reach out to you, and we can go ahead and get this scheduled out. I won't even go through everything.
Yeah.
Even if they're like, what time? I won't even schedule. I'll be like, what time works best for me to call you, and we can get you booked out.
Yeah. I like that. I honestly love that, dude. I really do. Like my typical appointment when I set it is like 3 to 3.5 minutes. I'm like 3 minutes and 48 seconds max. I think my average is like 3 minutes and 32 seconds, you know, but I'm like pretty on and off the phone. Yeah. So let's go through your phone script, dude, because 5 to 8 minutes, I mean, for a lot of people, I feel like it's probably a fairly long time, but you're booking a very good appointment. Like 70% of your appointments are showing up. So let's go through that. Let's do the age leads. Just kind of go through your script. Let's role play it just like you're calling the lead.
I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
All right, bet. Don't have it memorized, Kelly? What's up?
I mean, I do, but I'm going to end up stumbling over it. You know how it is. Let's see here. You want fresh, or do you want...
Let's do aged.
Aged. Okay. All right. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Hey, Ryan. This is Kelly Vincent. I just need to touch base with you real quick. I work at the brokerage. We handle the mortgage protection for Chase Bank. Your file, Ryan, that's associated with your property on Reed Road, came across my desk, and it was showing as incomplete. The main reason for that, Ryan, upon you closing the home, with Chase Bank. We sent you several things in the mail about mortgage protection. That's the coverage that would pay down or off the home should you get sick, disabled, not able to bring home the income, or when you pass away. And Brian, you actually did the right thing. You filled out the card we mailed to you, mailed it back into us, but it wasn't completed yet, and that's why I'm reaching out to you. I'm the state manager here in charge of mortgage protection in Davis County. Just wanted to make sure we got you taken care of as the homeowner. Need to make sure we go over the coverage, give you all the information, explain exactly how that coverage works for you. I'm just calling to get that phone appointment scheduled out with you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And now, Ryan, making sure I got the right address for you. I have you here at 3021 Reed Road. Is that the correct home?
Yep.
Closed? Okay. Great. And would there be a spouse, significant other residing there with you as well?
Oh, yeah, I'm married, yeah.
Okay. Married. Perfect. And we definitely want to make sure, of course, we go over that with your spouse. I want to be transparent with you both. I'm assuming anything were to happen, she's going to be taking care of everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. We want to make sure we're on the same page. And let me check my schedule real quick. And now, I do have tomorrow morning, afternoon, and evening available as well. Do you know which you would prefer there?
Probably evening.
Evening, that would be best for your spouse as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me look up those times for you. And Ryan, so during the appointment, what we'll be doing, since the coverage pays out to you in several ways, doesn't pay out to your bank, pays out directly to you if anything were to happen. Now, of course, we'll go through a risk assessment, make sure we place you in the right category for the benefits and pricing as well. I want to make sure we place you in the right category for the coverage, and we'll kind of go through everything from there on the payouts, pricing as well, break down real simple what you're covered for. But my schedule, I have a 5 to 5:30 and a 6 to 6:30 as well for tomorrow evening.
Let's do the 6 to 6:30.
Okay, 6 to 6:30. All right. And Ryan, go ahead and grab something to write with real quick. Before I let you go, I just need to give you our security code that's attached to your file for your home. So if anybody gives you a call about the mortgage protection coverage, they don't give you this code, simply means they're not with us, probably from the third-party company, okay?
Okay, sounds
and
good.
you just let me know when you're ready there.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So that code is going to be T as in Tom, 256.
Okay.
T256. And now I'll be giving you that code when I give you a call for our meeting for you and the spouse there. And go ahead, since you got that pen and paper, write down that you have a phone appointment with Kelly Vincent.
Okay.
That's Kelly, Vincent, Vincent. And phone appointment between 6 to 6:30. And if you can underline that time for me, that'd be great.
Okay, yep.
Okay. And would this be a good phone number for me to give you a call? And can you receive text messages on this line as well?
Yes, I can. Yeah, this is the best number.
Perfect. Because I will give you a heads up whenever I'm 10 to 15 minutes out from calling, so you don't have to guess. And just as a courtesy to me, Ryan, and the families I meet with on the daily, I'm getting ready to send you a confirmation text. If you can please respond with a thumbs up or an okay. Then an automated appointment text with my full name, license number for the state, and that security code to make sure you have my information right will be sent through. And if you can also do me a favor, if you can forward that to your spouse so she doesn't block out any times for you between 6 to 6:30, that'll be great. Can you do that for me, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then as well, if you can set an alarm or put it in the calendar, make sure you're intentional about having your phone on you with a pen and paper and being available between those times. That'll be great.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Look out for that message.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, so I didn't give you any objections there. We're going to talk about
I was
those.
waiting
I just
for it.
wanted to go
I was
through
waiting
everything.
for it. So
No, I just wanted to get it.
So that's why I threw that paragraph. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
No, that was
Make sure.
good. And again, I love that you do that because you're kind of asking for any objections. Like, hey, do you have
Exactly.
any objections? And you would sort of think that that's like like in a lot of sales industries, like that's the opposite of what you want to do. But well, dude, life insurance is so important. Like we want to get all those objections out on the front end. You know, we want to make sure they understand everything. They know exactly what they're buying, why they're buying, you know, or if they're booking an appointment, exactly why they're booking an appointment, what they're booking an appointment for. Exactly. You know, because the worst thing is you call them, they're like, what's this about? Oh, no, we don't need this. We're all good. Yeah. And then, you know, you spend a bunch of time. All right, let's talk a little bit about objections now. So I'll just kind of give you a couple of objections back to back, and then just, you know, however you deal with them, just deal with them. So, hey, Kelly, I'm not interested in the mortgage protection.
Okay. No, I understand, Ryan. Now, have you went over the coverage in the past, or?
No, I just know I don't need it.
Okay. I understand. Well, Ryan, this would be the only coverage that's going to actually pay out directly to you while you're living. If you weren't able to bring home the income due to your health or any disability, this would be paying out directly to you to take care of the mortgage payments and medical bills. And then, you know, upon passing, simply just like a life insurance policy, that's one lump sum that's sent directly from the insurance company to whomever would inherit that home. Do we have anything in place like that currently for you, or?
Yeah, I have some life insurance. Yep.
Okay. And with life insurance, of course, you know, that's just going to pay out upon death, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And as far as while we're living, we don't have anything that'll take care of you. God forbid anything were to happen, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got savings. But.
Right. So besides the savings, of course, now with the mortgage protection, understand that maybe we don't necessarily see the need fully. My job as state manager for the coverage is to make sure we go over that coverage. The need is there simply for you to have that coverage in place. You can design how much coverage and how much you want to pay for that coverage with the insurance company, with me as well.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And is this something that you want to go ahead and proceed forward with, or do you not see the need?
Okay, dude. Yeah, I love that. You're like very thorough about walking them through what it is, why we're doing it, and then saying, hey, like, do you want it? And that's the ultimate power play, bro, because whoever's going to walk away has the power. So, and I've noticed that whenever I do that in my phone script, when I get to that point where I'm like, hey, are you interested or not? I don't really care. Do you want to book an appointment or not? You know, a lot of times I'm like, well, yeah, no, I want to book an appointment. You know, like I'm interested in it. But okay, let's do, Kelly, I already got some protection in place.
Okay, so we already have protection in place. Now, okay, Ryan, so that's exactly why I'm reaching out. Like I mentioned, I do handle the mortgage protection for the county here. Come to find out, a lot of families in the county have been overcharged or not even placed in the right category for the coverage. Have you received the policy pack in the mail for your coverage upon approval?
Yeah, we did.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Now, what we can do, do you remember which company that was they put you with?
No, I don't.
Okay. No, that's okay. So simply what we can do, of course, at the end of the day, we want to make sure you're not being, you know, overcharged for coverage or not even covered for the right benefits. And of course, I would assume you would be the same way if, you know, anything were to happen. You want to make sure you're properly taken care of during that time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we can do with that policy packet, I can schedule a good time for you. Is there a spouse or significant other residing with you as well?
Yeah, I have a spouse, yeah.
Okay, so we can definitely go over it with you both. Did she get coverage as well?
No, we didn't put anything on her.
Okay. Well, we'll want to make sure we go over it with you both because I want to make sure she knows exactly what's going on as the beneficiary as well. So let's go ahead, book out an appointment. And from there, you know, I'll typically go ahead, confirm their address, and book out the appointment from there.
Yeah.
But that 9 times out of 10, nobody really wants to be overcharged for coverage.
Mm-hmm.
If I mention the policy pack, they're like, oh, he knows what he's talking about. And then from there, it's like, okay, it'll take about 10, 15 minutes to go over that policy packet with you. So that's typically my direction of going with a policy replacement. If they don't know the company name, obviously if they say a company name, I'll be like, okay, I understand. Any major health issues in the past, heart attack, stroke? And that's kind of like the dagger of getting them to question it.
Yeah.
But if not, simple, we'll go over the policy packet, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I always love doing that. They're like, oh, yeah, I have, like, you know, Foresters. I'm like, Foresters? Not that Foresters is a bad carrier. They're a great carrier. I'm like, Foresters? What, are you about to die or something? Like, you on your deathbed, man?
Exactly.
Couldn't get you anything better. But when you do it like that, the way that you're doing it, it really puts that question mark in their mind. And your tone that you're doing it with, I feel like is really, really good because you don't sound like you're trying to convince them.
Yeah.
You don't sound like a super needy salesperson. And I feel like that's half the battle because I think a lot of
It is.
people could say the exact same words that you say,
Yeah.
but your tone just communicates it in a completely different way.
Because of course, I'm only 12 months in the business, so I had a lot of learning curves within the past few months even. When I first started out, of course, I had the experience with dialing for appointments and going through inbound calls. But what I realized with insurance and solar is kind of like, okay, let's kind of shove it down your throat.
Yeah.
Life insurance, you don't want to. You want to keep in good communication, have good rapport with the client, even for future upsells, and make sure they don't charge back.
Yeah.
So I like setting the tone, setting the pace then and there during the appointment to make sure, okay, let's go through everything step by step. This is exactly what's going on, Ryan. So, if you have questions, you just interrupt me. But this is how it's done. So.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome, dude. And then last thing that I want to talk to you about, because all that was gold, bro. Actually, there's two more questions that I have.
No, go ahead.
Because my show ratio needs some help. So that's why I'm asking. Like, hopefully it can help some agents, but also like it's helping me out a lot. So I appreciate you being here with me.
Yeah.
But so earlier you mentioned making sure that you address their questions and concerns if they have any.
Yeah.
So can you talk to us about like what do you mean by that when you're booking the appointment, and what are some common, concerns or questions, and then how are you like getting them through those?
So typically the most common one would be, how much does it cost?
Mm-hmm.
How much does it cost, right? Because that's typically, what's going to break it or make it at that point. So typically, if that happens, okay, well, obviously I want to address it. I don't want to just go and do a little salesman sleight of hand and ask another question, right?
Right.
So I'll address it, be like, okay, I understand. Well, of course, you get to actually customize, how much coverage, how much you want to pay for the coverage, okay? As soon as I get okay, boom, I go into another question, spouse, significant other, to kind of not let them dwell on how much it's covered for, how long is it, and then all of a sudden it's like they're trying to run an appointment. So there's a fine line of, okay, let me be picky on who I book with, but there's also, you do sell them in the appointment.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line between those, and it's just making sure, okay, answer rebuttal, get through the script. So I always like to address those rebuttals then and there, solve it. Leave a couple seconds, no one's talking, make sure they don't have any other questions, I answered it for them, or simply makes sense.
Yeah.
Boom, move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that customizable word, that's a buzzword. People love that word.
They love it.
They love custom plans, man. Yeah. They love it, dude. And they don't understand, like, oh, you're getting what everybody else is getting.
Because then it's like, okay, that's when it's Andrew was the one that kind of helped me out when I first started. He was like, people don't want to feel like they're sold to. They want to customize it. They want to buy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be sold to. And so that's kind of like the mentality behind that.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Okay. And then last question here. Yeah. Like I said, dude, this has all been so helpful. Like, I've been on my phone, like, taking notes, and I'm going to implement a lot of this stuff in what I do, because I'm about to go hop on the phones after this and try some of the stuff out. So if I don't have a 70% show ratio, I'm coming at you.
Yeah.
That's
fair. That's fair.
Last question is, so obviously a lot of agents, new agents, and like myself, like I've been doing this 3-4 years now. Yeah. Like a lot of people struggle with that show ratio.
Yeah.
It's a very, very important number, because it can be very frustrating if you don't have a lot of people showing up. So what are a couple things that you think are the main reasons, obviously broadly speaking, but the main reasons that people really struggle with the show ratios, and what do you do to fix them or address those concerns?
My first thing is, how long is a phone call? Because, come on, most new agents don't like being on the phones. That's typical. So they don't really want to prolong or even go through every step.
Yeah.
Right? And the step with the tie down is very important. The first thing I look for is, okay, how long is the conversation? So I'll shadow them, and I'm like, that was 3 minutes. And it was just a piece of cake, appointment set. Great. I'm glad you got the appointment, but let's kind of dissect, see what's the issue. So I look at the time, and then I also look at how are they sounding the moment the client picks up the phone. Because obviously, you're going through the motions. You don't know what they're doing on the other side of the phone, and they don't know who you are. Mm-hmm. The only thing they know is the tone of your voice. voice is everything, and tone. So I make sure the client, or I make sure the agent is obviously going through everything nice, slow, controlled. And it's not even, a lot of people misinterpret going slow. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to sound like a robot.
Yeah.
But let's have a good flow in the script of, okay, let's hit some keywords really slow. Mortgage protection, their bank, Chase Bank. When you say their name, go slow, right? Hit the key points, what the coverage does. Or, yeah, we sent a letter out to you, Ryan, upon closing. So it's kind of like there's some parts in the script where I go slower, and there's some parts that doesn't really necessarily needs to be implanted in their brain.
Yeah.
That I'll kind of sweep, pretty fast on. But it's the flow of the script, and then exactly how slow are they going with the tie downs. Make sure they send over everything to them, confirmation text, things like that. And of course, answering the objections, having the right rebuttals and tools to, kind of not shut them up, answer their questions, move on.
Yeah. Okay. Dude, that's awesome. So, yeah, I think it's awesome that you brought up, like, emphasizing certain words and saying certain words slower. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, this is applicable when you're booking the appointment and also when you're selling. Or if you're one call closing, because, dude, it used to be the most frustrating thing. I would get to the very end of the appointment or very end of the phone script, and then like, what's this about? Who are you? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? And I think a lot of times that's because you said all the words the same exact pace and speed, and you never really gave them time to process the information that you were telling them. Yeah. And that's what you're doing by emphasizing certain words. You're making a certain word stick out in their brain. Mm-hmm. Mortgage protection, coverage that pays out if you die or, get real sick. Yeah. And those ideas, those concepts that are important to communicate, when you say those slower and you emphasize them, that's what sticks out in their brain. Yeah. Right? And when you say it slower, it lets them process. Because, like, had you heard about mortgage protection before you started doing life insurance?
Bro, nope.
I hadn't either.
Not at all.
Yeah, and it's important to understand probably almost 100%, 99 to 100% of the clients we sit with have never heard of mortgage protection, so it's a brand new concept. Yeah. So if we expect them to understand all the words that we're saying, like, it's not going to happen. That's why slowing down in those pauses like you do are so important. One thing that I love, and this doesn't necessarily have too much to do with you, but I love how, like, influenced I can see a lot of Mindy in you, obviously through Holly, but there's like Mindy brought Holly in. Holly obviously brought you in. Holly's probably the one that primarily trained you. Yep. You're 100%. Obviously also influenced by Mindy, but you guys just have such a strong team, such a strong group of people. There's so many things that you guys do so well, and I think you embody a lot of that like I really want to learn from, have my agents learn from, and obviously Pinnacle as a whole. Like I think we can really learn a lot from you guys. I think you guys are just a super strong group, and I love that about you, all the things that you guys do. But, dude, I appreciate you hopping on. Can people reach out to you on, like, social media and stuff if they're struggling with some of these things?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Instagram, Kelly X Vincent, just how it sounds. Hit me up there. I'll get some DMs about some questions with rebuttals, things like that, and scripts, of course. But, I won't help anybody out.
Yeah,
of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you have questions, the man is getting people to show up at an elite level. So really, I appreciate you. You, joining us and sharing everything with us. I'm looking forward to implementing a lot of the things that we talked about today, and hopefully, my numbers will go up a little bit. But that's all we got for you guys. Hopefully that can help you guys out.